A few weeks ago, I shared in one of my videos that I learned that electric companies do more than just provide electricity in your homes. They operate on a much broader scale, like water and sewage. They had a lot of heavy equipment on my street, and they worked sometimes in the middle of the night. I mentioned how glad I was that they had finally finished, but a couple of yummers I walked up to a new crew of workers with more heavy equipment. And in the process, they began tearing up the street and using more equipment like generators. I figured all the men on the project had to have some degree of education in order to perform their duties. The job appeared very complex and direct in details. What knowledge they may have outside their job performance is not important. They have all the tools they need to get the job done. I learned a while back that it was the Roman civilization that came up with the first water system and sanitation sewage system that most of the world are familiar with today. There were a lot of smart people back then, and even now there are a lot of intelligent people living in today's world. Does the path to a higher education give us the only means to succeed in life? Or can we simply put our faith in Yahuah to provide us with a good life, with or without an education? We're in an era where higher education takes preference over common sense. Is it possible to live a good life with little or no education? I don't have a problem with people with an education. I think blessing can come to those with an education. But I think education arrives at all levels of life. I don't believe an educated person necessarily needs credentials to show what level of education they may be on. Education can be self-taught, learning the ways of Yahuah. Studying His ways can be factored in as education. You hear these quotes saying all the time that the children of this world are wiser than the children of Yahuah. The world has advanced through science and appear to have a lot of things figured out. But where does education fit in with two parties that are in total disagreement with each other? Both parties have educated people, but are far off from coming into an agreement with each other's viewpoints. There can only be one, if not none, that can be right on their cultures and beliefs. Tehillim 66. Shout with joy to Elohim, all the arrests. Sing out the splendor of His name, make His praise esteemed. Say to Elohim, how awesome are your works. Through the greatness of your power, your enemies pretend obedience to you. All the arrests bow to you, they sing praises to you. They praise your name, Selah. Come and see the works of Elohim, awesome acts towards the Son of Men. He has turned the sea into dry land. They went through the rivers on foot. There we rejoice in Him, who rules by His power forever. His eyes keeping watch on the gang. Let the rebellious not exalt themselves. Selah. Bless our Elohim, you peoples, and sound His praise abroad, who keeps us in life and does not allow our feet to be moved. For you, O Elohim, have proved us. You have refined us as silver is refined. You brought us into the net. You laid afflictions on our loins. You have let men ride on our head. We went through the fire and through water, but you brought us out to plenty. I enter your house with burnt offerings. I complete my vow to you. That which my lips have altered and my mouth spoke in my distress. Burnt offerings and fattenings I offer to you, with incense of rams, I offer bulls with goats. Selah. Come, hear, all you who fear Elohim, and I relate what He has done for my being. I called Him with my mouth, and praise was in my tongue. If I have seen wickedness in my heart, Yahuah would not hear. Truly Elohim has heard me. He has given heed to the voice of my prayer. Blessed be Elohim, who has not turned away from my prayer, nor His kindness from me. When we come to know Him, we begin to recognize that we have a ruach body and we have a physical body, and there's the body of the set-apart children of the kingdom of Yahuah. When you come together in ruach and in truth with the set-apart children, we serve Him in the ruach hakodesh and not catering to the physical body. Having too much wisdom could lead you down a road of destruction. Adam and Eve had wisdom that Yahuah had provided for them, but His desire wasn't for them to have all wisdom. 2 Malachi 6, and the sons of the prophet said to Elijah, see, the place where we dwell with you is too small for us. Please let us go to the yard, and let every man take a log from there, and let us make a place to dwell. Then the one said, please undertake to go with your servants. And he answered, I shall go. And he went with them, and they came to the yard, and they cut down trees. And it came to be, as one was cutting down a tree, that the iron axe head fell into the water, and cried out and said, O my Adonai, for it was borrowed. And the man of Elohim said, Where did it fall? And he showed him the place, and he cut off a stick and threw it in there, and made the iron float. And he said, Pick it up. And he reached out his hand and took it. And the king of Aram was fighting with Yeshurun, and took counsel with his servants, saying, My camp is in such and such a place. And the band of Elohim sent to the king of Yeshurun, saying, Be on guard, do not pass this place, for the Arameans are coming down there. The king of Yeshurun sent to the place of which the man of Elohim had spoken to him, and warned him, so that he was on guard there, not once and not twice. And this greatly troubled the heart of the king of Aram, and he called to his servants, and said to them, Declare to me, who of us is for the king of Yeshurun? And one of the servants said, None, my Adonai, O king, for Elijah the prophet is in Yeshurun, and says to the king of Yeshurun the words that you speak in your bedroom. And he said, Go see where he is, so that I send and get him. And it was reported to him, saying, See, he is in Dothan. And he sent horses and chariots and a great army there, and they came by Layla and surrounded the city. And the servant of the man of Elohim rose early and went out and saw an army surrounding the city with horses and chariots. And his servant said to him, O my Adonai, what do we do? And he answered, Do not fear, for those who are with us are more than those who are with them. And Elijah prayed and said, Yahuah, I pray, open his eyes and let him see. And Yahuah opened the eyes of the young man, and he looked and saw the mountains covered with horses and chariots of fire all around Elijah. And when they came down to him, Elijah prayed to Yahuah and said, Strike this nation with blindness, I pray. And he struck them with blindness according to the word of Elijah. And Elijah said to them, This is not the way, nor is this the city. Follow me and let me bring you to the man whom you seek. But he led them to Shamaron. And it came to be when they had come to Shamaron that Elijah said, Yahuah opened the eyes of these men so that they see. And Yahuah opened their eyes, and they looked and saw that they were in the midst of Shamaron. And when the king of Israel saw them, he said to Elisha, My father, should I smite? Should I smite? But he said, Do not smite. Do you smite those whom you have taken captive with your sword and with your bow? Set food and water before them, and let them eat, drink, and go to their Adonai. And he made a great feast for them, and after they ate and drank, he let them go, and they went to their Adonai. And the bands of the Aramean raiders came no more into the land of Yeshurun. And after this it came to be that Ben-Hadad, the king of Aram, mustered all his army, and he went up and besieged Shamaron. And there was a great sarchet of food in Shamaron, and see, they besieged it until the donkey's head went for 80 pieces of silver, and 1/4 of a cab of bedub droppings for 5 pieces of silver. And it came to be, as the king of Yeshurun was passing by on the wall, and a Shah cried out to him, saying, Help me, my Adonai, O king. And he said, Yahuah does not help you. Where do I find help for you? From the threshing floor or from the winepress? And the king said to her, What is troubling you? And she answered, The Shah said to me, Give your son and let us eat him today, and tomorrow we eat my son. So we cooked my son and ate him. And I said to her on the next yom, Give your son and let us eat him. But she has hidden her son. And it came to be, when the king heard these words of the Ashah, that he tore his garments. And as he passed by on the wall, the people looked and saw his sackcloth on his body underneath. And he said, Elohim do so to me, and more also, if the head of Elijah son of Shaphat remains on him today. And Elijah was sitting in his house, and the elders were sitting with him, and the king sent a man ahead of him. But before the messengers came to him, he said to the elders, Do you see how this son of a murderer has sent someone to take away my head? Look, when the messengers come, shut the door, and hold fast at the door. Is not the sound of his Adonai feet behind him? And while he was still speaking with them, then see, the messengers came down to him, and he said, Look, this evil is from Yahuah. Why should I wait for Yahuah any longer? There are times when Yahuah brings judgment on Yeshurun and may use outsiders as a mean for judgment. We all are under the compassion and mercy of Yahuah. He reigns on the just and the unjust forever. He can cause rocks and mountains to bow before him. Yahuah's reign is from everlasting to everlasting. The stories we hear about Yahuah and Yeshurun will make you wonder, how was it possible for Shaitan to penetrate and influence them to serve in the world and not Yahuah? Those had to be some very hard times for a mother to cook their child as a means for survival. What sins were they doing that caused Yahuah to bring his wrath on his children and caused him to close his eyes during these dark times? One thing that all men have in common, wise or fool, is death. It doesn't matter how rich you become or how poor, our lives will someday come to an end. There is no way to avoid death. Even if you feel that you can delay it by going on a health diet, still death looks us straight in the eyes. When you're trying to achieve a goal in life, you may stumble among roadblocks that try to hold you back. So when you achieve something in life you envision, there will be haters out there that will try to flip the script and make it out to be less than what it has truly become. Those blessings you received are perceived as curses and not prosperous. By putting your trust in the Most High Yahuah Elohim, He will protect you unharmed through fires. In these times and years I've spent here on the arrest, I come to realize that you can't allow people to think for you. Yahuah has given us a mind to distinguish right from wrong. He has given us a mind of common sense. He who puts their faith in Yahuah and His instruction has received wisdom. There is a difference between having an education and being wise. There's a lot of unwise, educated people out there in the world, but they think that they can tell you their views because they know more through their credentials. I'd rather put my faith in Yahuah than putting faith in another person's opinion. Yahuah has given us a mind to use in making choices in life. One example of wisdom versus education, that the world goes on the Gregorian calendar with 365 days in a year, whereas in what some will call the Creator's calendar, having 360 days plus adding 4 seasons in a year, never needs to be reset, like having a leap year every 4 years. So wisdom, common sense tells me that something is not adding up. Why do you need to fix something that's already fixed? A person with an education may say we must use a formula to keep things in balance, like Yahuah doesn't know how to keep his creation balanced. So we must use a leap year in order to balance time. Men are wiser than the children of Yahuah. We must be careful not to make education our religion, meaning we put our faith in what we think we know, but no one knows more than Yahuah. So education and knowledge starts with our faith in Yahuah. Tehillim 49. Hear this, all you peoples. Give ear, all you inhabitants of the world. Both sons of Adam and sons of mankind altogether, rich and poor. My mouth speaks wisdom, and the meditation of my heart brings understanding. I incline my ear to a parable. I expound my riddle on the lyre. Why should I fear in the yeoman of evil when the lawlessness of my supplanters surround me? And those who are trusting in their riches and are boasting on their great wealth? A brother does not redeem anyone at all, neither gives to Elohim a ransom for him. For the redemption of their lives is costly, and it shall cease forever. That he should still live forever, and not see the pit. For he sees wise men die, foolish and ignorant both perish, and shall leave their wealth to others. Their graves are their houses forever, their dwelling places to all generations. They call their land after their own names. But man does not remain in esteem. He is like a beast that perish. This way of theirs is folly to them, yet their followers are pleased with their words. Selah. Like sheep they shall lay in the grave, death shall shepherd them, and the upright shall rule over them in the morning, and their form is consumed in the grave, far from their dwelling. But Elohim does redeem my being from the power of the grave, for he does receive me. Selah. Do not be afraid when a man becomes rich, when wealth of his house increases. For when he dies he takes none of it. His wealth does not go down after him. Though while he lived he blessed himself, and though they praise you when you do well for yourself. He has to go to the generations of his fathers. They never see the light. Man who is rich yet does not understand it shall be like the beast. They shall perish. So we should strive to receive the riches of the Yahuah's kingdom and not the riches of this world. Yahuah's blessing causes you to never thirst, but the blessing of this world never satisfies your thirst. I knew all my life before I learned the name Yahuah I didn't think much about other names being used like Yahweh, Jehovah, and many other names other than the names Lord, God, or Jesus. I didn't challenge those names if they were legit names that others used to identify the Father and Creator. I didn't see those names as being wrong. Those using the different names had found the names in a different place in time, but wasn't wrong in their understanding of the Father's true name. Many people may see the name Yahuah or Yahusha no different than the names Yahweh or Jehovah and others. Their names that others found their faith in through different beliefs in the true Elohim. But my eyes became open to the fact that you can't make up a name for the Father according to your own understandings. If the Father's true name has been hijacked and replaced by another name, we must wake up to the lies that has been handed down to us for centuries. How can you serve the right deity without knowing you have the name correct? And this wouldn't be a problem to those that believe that the name Jesus is the Father's true name. But when you realize that point A is not aligning with point B, you know that you need to search further to find that point A takes you to another place other than point B. These are the thoughts I envisioned of the parable of the rich man, but these thoughts are not totally carved from the Basora. I was meditating on the thoughts from my head. There was this rich man that hired men to work in his field, and they agreed to work for a certain amount of wages. But when the late hours came, he realized that he needed extra workers to bring in his harvest. He hired in the 7th, 8th, and 9th hour in order to get his harvest in before the close of the harvest. He agreed to pay those that were hired in the 8th and 9th hour the same he paid those hired in the 1st hour. Then when he began paying his hired help, he began paying from the last hired to the first. When those hired in the 1st hour saw that those hired in the last were given the same wages as those hired in the 1st hour, they began thinking that they were entitled more wages because they worked longer hours. But when they received their wages, it was the same pay that was given to those that worked less hours. So they began thinking within themselves that they should be entitled more wages because they worked longer hours. But when the rich man saw that these men were reasoning among themselves that they were paid unfairly, the rich man confronted them and said to them, "Why do you reason among yourselves, disputing your pay? Didn't you get the pay that I agreed to pay? Why do you dispute the pay that I give others from the heart? Why do you feel from your wicked thoughts you entitle more wages?" I got this story from scriptures where Yahushua was giving a parable of those that are first will be last. I just altered the thoughts the way I envisioned the story as I remember it in my head. But I'm not trying to alter the Basora. Mashal 26. Like snow in summer and rain in harvest, so esteem is not fitting for a fool. As a bird wanders, as a swallow flies about, so a curse without cause does not come. A whip for a horse, a bridle for a donkey, and a rod for a fool's back. Do not answer a fool according to his folly, lest you also become like him. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he become wise in his own eyes. He who sends a message by the hand of a fool cuts off feet, drinks damage. The legs of the lame hangs limp, so is the proverb in the mouth of fools. Like one binding a stone in a sling, so is he who gives esteem to a fool. A thorn goes in the hand of a drunkard, so is the proverb in the mouth of fools. An archer who wounds anyone is he who hires a fool or any passerby. As a dog returns to his own vomit, so a fool repeats his folly. Have you seen a man wise in his own eyes? There is more expectancy for a fool than for him. The lazy one says, "There is a lion in the way, a fierce lion is in the streets." As a door turns on his hinges, so does the lazy one turn on his bed. The lazy one buries his hands in a dish. It tires him to bring it back to his mouth. The lazy one is wiser in his own eyes than 7 rendering advice. A passerby milling in a stripe not his own is like one who takes a dog by the ears. Like a bad man who throws sparks, arrows, and death, so is a man who deceives his neighbor and says, "I was only joking." For lack of wood the fire goes out, and without a slanderer strife ceases. As charcoal is to burning coals and wood to fire, so is a contentious man to kindle strife. The words of a slanderer are as dainty morsels which go down into the inner parts of the heart. Burning lips with an evil heart are like earthenware covered with silver dross. He who hates pretend with his lips, and lay up deceit within him. Though he speak kindly, do not believe him, for there are 7 abominations in his heart. Hatred is covered by deceit, his evil is disclosed in the assembly. Whosoever digs a pit falls into it, and whosoever rolls a stone, it turns back on him. A lying tongue hates his bruised ones, and a flattering mouth works ruin. So a people that goes after their own thoughts can be considered as a fool. If you try to become wise in your own eyes, you may be surfing the grounds of a fool. I believe this could have been the thoughts of Shaitan when he became a rebellious messenger of Yahuah. He didn't wait for Yahuah's laws, but chose to do the opposite. He caused the first man, Adam, to begin thinking for himself and not holding fast to Yahuah's commands. I don't believe this classifies someone that considers the Basora and trying to bring the truth, even if they have found some error in their witnessing. We want to bring truth even if sometimes we may fall short with how we understand things. The heart is in the right place. Some groups may teach once saved, always saved, meaning once you confess the Savior as Adonai of your life, you will always be His. But if that were true, then why did Yahushua compare the kingdom to a sower that planted seeds, where some seeds fell by the wayside, and some fell on stony grounds, and some fell among the thorns? Matityahu 13. And on that yom Yahushua went out of the house and sat by the sea. And large throngs gathered together to him, so that he went into a boat and sat down, and all the throng stood on the beach. And he spoke to them much in parables, saying, See, the sower went out to sow. And as he sowed, some indeed fell by the wayside, and the birds came and devoured them. And others fell on rocky places where they did not have much soil, and immediately they sprang up because they had no depth of soil. But when the sun was up, they were scorched, and because they had no root, they withered. And others fell among thorns, and the thorns came up and choked them. And others fell on good soil and yielded crop, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. And the Talmudim came and said to him, Why do you speak to them in parables? And he answered and said to them, Because it has been given to you to know the secrets of the reign of the Shamayim, but to them it has not been given. He speaks of understanding. For whosoever possessed to him more shall be given, and he shall have overflowingly. But whosoever does not possess, even what he possessed, shall be taken away from him. Because of this I speak to them in parables, because seeing they do not see, and hearing they do not hear, nor do they understand. And in them the prophecy of Yeshayahu is completely filled, which says, Hearing ye shall hear, and by no means understand, and seeing ye shall see, and by no means perceive. For the heart of this people has become thickened, and their ears are hard of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest they should see with their eyes and hear with their ears, lest they should understand with their heart, and turn back, and I heal them. And blessed are your eyes because they see, and your ears because they hear. But truly I say to you that many prophets and obedient ones long to see what you see, and did not see it, and hear what you hear, and did not hear it. You then hear the parable of the sower. When anyone hears the word of the reign and does not understand it, then the wicked one comes to snatch away what was sown in his heart. This is that sown by the wayside. And that sown on rocky places, this is he who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy. Yet he has no root in himself, but is short-lived, and when pressure or persecution arises because of the word, immediately he stumbles. And that sown among thorns is he that hears the word, and the worries of this age and the deceit of riches choke the word, and it becomes fruitless. And that sown on good soil is he that hears the word and understands it, who indeed bears fruit and yields, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. Another parable he put before them, saying, The reign of the Shamayim is become like the man who sowed good seeds in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed darnel among the wheat and went his way. And when the brave sprouted and bore fruit, then the darnel also appeared. And the servants of the Adonai of the house came and said to him, Adonai, did you not sow good seeds in your field? From where then does it have the darnel? And he said to them, a man, an enemy, has done this. And the servant said to him, do you wish then that we go to gather them up? But he said, no, lest you gather up the darnel, you also uproot the wheat with them. Allow both to grow together until the harvest, and at the time of the harvest I shall say to the weepers, first gather the darnel and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my granary. Another parable he put before them, saying, the rain of the Shamaim is like a mustard seed, which a man took and sowed in his field, which is the least of all seeds, but when it is grown it is greater than the plants and become a tree, so that the birds of the heavens come and dwell in its branches. Another parable he spoke to them, the rain of the Shamaim is like leaven, which an Ashab took and hid 3 measures of meal until all was leavened. Yahuah said all these things to the thrones in parables, and he did not speak to them without a parable, so that what was spoken by the prophets might be fulfilled, saying, I shall open my mouth in parables, I shall pour forth what has been hidden from the foundations of the world. Then having sent his thrones away, Yahuah went into the house, and his talmidim came to him, saying, explain to us the parable of the darnel of the field. And he answering said to them, he who is sowing the good seed is the son of Adam, and the field is the world, and the good seeds, these are the sons of the rain, but the darnel are the sons of the wicked one. And the enemy who sowed them is the devil, and the harvest is the end of the age, and the weepers are the messengers. As the darnel then is gathered and burned in the fire, so it shall be at the end of this age. The son of Adam shall send out his messengers, and they shall gather out of the rain all the stumbling blocks, and shall throw them into the furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then the obedient shall shine forth as the sun of the reign of their father. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. Again, the rain of the Shamaim is like the treasure in a field, which a man having found it hid, and for joy over it he goes and sell all that he has and buy that field. Again, the rain of the Shamaim is like a man, a merchant, seeking fine pearls, who, when he had found one pearl of great price, went and sold all that he had and brought it, which when it was filled they drew to store, and they sat down and gathered the good into baskets, but threw the rotten away. Thus shall it be at the end of the age. The messenger shall come forth and separate the wicked out of the midst of the obedient, and shall throw them into the furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Yahuah said to them, have you understood all this? They said to him, yes, Adonai. And he said to them, therefore every scholar of scripture taught in the reign of the Shamaim is like a household who brings out his treasure things fresh and ancient. And it came to be when Yahuah had ended these parables that he left there. And when he had come to his own region, he taught them in their assemblies, so that they were astonished and said, where did this one get this wisdom and miracles? Is not this the son of the carpenter? Is not his mother called Miriam, and his brother Jacob and Joseph and Shimon and Yehudah? And his sisters, are they not all with us? Where did this one get all this? And they stumbled at his word, but Yahuah said to them, a prophet is not unappreciated except in his own region and his own house. And he did not do many miracles there because of their unbelief. We often hear stories about the Virgin Miriam, the divine mother of the deliverer, but we also know that Miriam did give birth to other sons and daughters after the birth of Yahuah. We must be careful not to perceive Miriam as a deity. Yahuah says we do not serve other deities. That would include the mother of Yahuah, Miriam. We are not to put other deities before him. That would include days of the week and months of the year, which are named after deities. Another example in Yahuah 13, where the birds represent demons, because the birds eat up the seeds that fell by the wayside. The birds devour the seeds, which represents the word. The seeds that fall on good ground are they that go into the soul and is rooted to grow. The birds are unable to reach the seed that are rooted deep enough into the ground. Thanks for watching and thanks for sharing. If Yahuah is willing, I'll see you on the next video. So until then, stay blessed, be blessed, and continue to be blessed. Hallelujah. Praise Yahuah.